Now, I'm delighted to say we're welcoming now onto the studio. Here he is himself, one of your greatest friends, the great Professor Ian Plimer, who is with us in the studio. Ian, you've been sitting here for the past 15 minutes, unlike you, very quietly. Now, you've done a great job. It's terrific. The marvels of modern television, bang, you pop up just like that. Professor Plimer, great to have you on the show. I want to kick off by talking about this story out of Queensland where the CFMEU, unbelievably, have come out in favour of met coal, of metallurgical coal, saying it should be specially put aside. Tell us about it.
Well, this is where a lot of their money comes from. It's the people who work in the coal mines. And they're not stupid. They're not going to cut off their cash flow. So they're doing it for very simple financial reasons. They're not doing it for reasons of wanting to help the steel companies in Asia. They're not doing it because they have different views on the planet. They're doing it for money. Follow the money.
For jobs, for jobs. And finally, but this has always been, hasn't this always been the problem that the left has deserted the blue-collar workers of the past that the Labor Party built its entire, essence on, in favour of this green nonsense. But here are the blue worker, hard steel workers saying we've had enough of this stuff.
Yes, very much so. And you see that in some electorates. As soon as I can escape from you three, I'm off to Broken Hill. Now, that's a Labor heartland. It's not any longer. In the state parliament, it's shooters and fishers. In the federal parliament, it's national. And so they, a long while ago, woke up to the fact that the Labor Party doesn't represent the working man. The Labor Party has let them down very, very seriously. And the Labor Party's on the nose.
Have the Liberal National Party, though, recognised that trend and actually tried to reach out to those voters instead of being obsessed with
Rita, honestly.
No.
They used to burn women like you.
It was a better time back then, wasn't it? I want to ask about these 200,000 cows that are to be destroyed in Ireland at Cull to save the environment. Tell us about that story. This seems crazy.
Well, I think that's absolutely fabulous for the Australian cattle industry. It means that the shiny bums in Brussels who have never produced anything in their life are now telling producers what to do. And this can only end in disaster. The Irish know about this from the potato famine of the 1843, 1844 period. A third of their population died, a third emigrated, and the same thing will happen. They will lose productive people from Ireland and they'll go somewhere else. So to be a member of the EU is a little bit...
Let's just spell out what's happening here. The EU are saying because of climate emissions meeting net zero, they're going to have to cull 200,000 head of cattle. This is the same insanity that we saw, James, in Holland with farms being shut down.
And I mean, just to pick up on that point, it's not just going to be the cows, it's going to be your lifestyle. I think we've got a little grab here of somebody proposing how we're all going to have these carbon credits that we're going to sell. Could we play that?
Yep.
En krijgt daardoor een beetje meer geld. Of diegene woont in een kleiner huurhuis en ik woon in een groot huis. Ik heb dus meer uitstootrechten nodig om mijn huis te verwarmen. En zo kunnen mensen met een smalle portemonnee...
Now, my Dutch isn't what it was, but Andrew Bolt would help me translate if he were here. She's basically saying, Ian, that poor people can sell their carbon credits so that rich people can fly. So poor people won't be able to fly anymore, but rich people will be because they'll buy the car. This is serfdom, isn't it?
Well, of course it is. And you will be poor and you will be happy.
Exactly.
And what people don't understand is you can do calculations on the amount of grass a cattle eat and how much carbon dioxide and methane they emit and how much is sequestered into cow dung and into leather. Cattle already are at net zero. And the EU needs to do some very, very simple sums.
But now, Ian, sorry, on this though, the EU, whatever happens overseas, we see happen here in Australia. We in Australia are going down the German path of the Energiewende, which was a disastrous plan that they had to decarbonize their economy. Now, unlike the Germans who smartly kept their coal-fired power stations at least in existence, we blow them up. Where do you see this all going for us from, this energy perspective?
Well, we have no plan B. It's going to be a catastrophe. We have absolutely no plan B. The catastrophe will be exacerbated by a financial crisis or a war. I think we're heading down a very, very dangerous path, and I think this country needs to understand that unless we are energy independent, and have an enormous amount of cheap, reliable energy, that is a sovereign risk.
And we are almost unique in having no plan B, because you've got so many countries that have the option of nuclear. They've got countries, like James said, which have kept their coal-fired plants. Even if they're not using them, they can go back to them. We seem to be just very bold, very reckless. And how long is it going to take to, say, start nuclear and have some sort of reliable baseload energy?
Well, Germany, when they ran out of power or had half an inch of snow on their solar panels, took coal-fired power from Poland, nuclear power from Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic and France. They took hydropower from Norway and a little bit of wind, if the wind was blowing, from Denmark. We don't have neighbours. We can't do that. So we will face blackouts, and what will happen first is, because it's electorally dangerous to have blackouts, we will kill off industries that use a lot of energy. These are industries like the aluminium industry, foundries, the mining industry, and this country runs on the mining and agricultural industry. For decades, those industries have been attacked by the Greens and attacked by bureaucrats who are now the fourth generation Canberra people, and apart from one person on this bench here, but Canberra people really don't have much of a life. They've got to get out and see how things are produced.
But Ian, I mean, if you think about it, though, manufacturing and agriculture are the only two, and mining are the only three areas of the economy where you can actually get productivity gains. And right now we are in a situation where the economy has no productivity gains, rising wages, rising inflation, rising interest rates. To me, this spells disaster.
It does. It's a forthcoming disaster, and Blind Freddie can see it. I hope it is seen before the next federal election, because it will take 2 terms of government to repair the damage. We could build coal-fired power stations, these Healy power stations, very easily. We could build nuclear generators very easily. We've even got the foundations of one at Jervis Bay. They were poured in 1969, and when we had a change of Prime Minister and Billy McMahon came in April 1971, that was put on hold, and then Labor came in December 72 and nothing was done. So we already started a nuclear program. We've had nuclear power in this country for 60 years at Lucas Heights. If you've ever had cancer, you have to be a supporter of the nuclear industry, because medical isotopes are produced from that reactor. So we already have the foundations for it.
And we're going to have the subs, which are going to be nuclear powered as well. It's insane.